It was one of the first places where gold was discovered in 1849. It was a place where people from all over the world came to seek gold. It was home to the largest gold mine in the world. It is known as Queen of the Southern Mines. It is Sonora, digging for the American dream. When the world rushed into Sonora, it was a perfect opportunity for exploration of a new territory, encounters between many different cultures, and the exchange of new philosophies and the ideas to accomplish things with all the focus on creating a better future. Although positive exploration, encounter, and exchanges did happen when digging for the American dream, so did the decline of the environment, tolerance for different cultures, and the exchange of death and disease. We will focus on how the story of Sonora began and how it was influenced by the exploration, encounters, and exchanges of its early pioneers. Prior to the gold rush of 1849, this part of the United States was actually owned by Mexico. Little did either country know that just 9 days prior to the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, where Mexico handed over this territory, gold was discovered in California. The gold rush was the driving factor for the biggest movement in the world's history. Men, women, and children, not only Americans, but people from all over the world, were coming to California to make it rich and make their dreams come true. Many of them were heading to Sonora. Many traveled for months to arrive to Sonora via boat, then by wagon, horseback, or by foot to the promised land. On July 29, 1854, the Union Democrat, the local paper still in circulation today, wrote, "The miners on Woods Creek are reaping their golden harvest. This is decidedly the best mining district in not only the state, but the world." Many different nationalities came to Sonora after gold was discovered, making it quite a cosmopolitan but lawless city. The early pioneers were from such countries as Mexico, Germany, France, China, England, Ireland, Italy, and those coming from eastern United States. Almost instantly, tents were erected and camps were set up. Each nationality had its own area they were working and staking a claim on. Most of the original miners were from Sonora, Mexico, and established the name Sonoran Camp. They eventually shortened it, and that's how the name Sonora was established. At first, the groups got along because there was plenty of gold to be found. Each nationality had their own way of mining and shared their different ways. Panning, cradle, and arasta were the most widely used, but as finding gold got harder and harder, the groups started getting more resentful of each other. More sophisticated techniques were needed. With the increased tension between groups also came the increased violence of theft and murder. Due to the increase of pioneers in the area, Sonora lacked the basic supplies and items the miners needed. Businessmen and women came to set up their shops. So, if you were not mining, you came here to be a merchant. Soon came hotels, banks, grocery stores, hospitals, drugstores, saloons with gambling, hardware stores, feed stores, churches, courthouses, government offices, schools, newspapers, and jails. Many men were entrepreneurs and brought big ideas and money to back it, and thought Sonora was a place to make their dreams come true. Many came to strike it rich and then return home, but for some that never happened. Prior to the pioneers' arrival, the land was not empty. The Miwok Indians were already established in this area. The Miwoks chose to move higher up in the mountain once more immigrants migrated here. They were not happy about the infiltration of their beautiful, majestic mountains, but were peaceful people and did not want conflict. The arrival of the 49ers changed this section into a bustling mining camp. The desires others had to find their destiny was imposed unfavorably on the Miwok people. The native population was drastically reduced by people slaughtering them. The Mexicans and the Chileans arrived here first. The town had a strong Mexican influence that included bullfighting, bright, colorful brush houses, and card games called Monte. J.M. Calvazut was a strong Latino businessman and that had great skills and investments. He was a restaurateur, gold mine owner, and real estate investor. At one time, he owned a large portion of land in Sonora. He had a wife and a daughter. In 1850, the foreign miners' tax was implemented. American miners were angry that the foreigners were staking claims on American soil and making more money than them. To stop competition, a $20 a month tax was implemented on foreigners, aimed at Mexicans and Chileans, to encourage them to leave. Many did leave, but then that caused a recession. All the merchants' customers were gone, too. About 4/5 of them. This exchange backfired on the Americans. For those who didn't leave, it started a violent battle between the Americans and the other nationalities. The tax was reduced to about $3 a year later. The Chinese gold seekers arrived in great numbers in 1851. Many were businessmen and took over abandoned mines. They established their own town called Chinese Camp with a population of about 5,000. They also created a Chinatown within Sonora that occupied about 400 Chinese immigrants.
Everybody brought something to the table. Everybody. And when you look back, the gold rush could not have happened without all these individual talents from these individual cultures. They didn't realize it at the time, but very much they had to work together, whether they liked it or not, to have this work, and that's what happened.
One of the most influential and successful men of this time was citizen S.S. Bradford, the lumber mogul. He came to Sonora from Maine. He was married and had 2 children. He established the Standard Lumber Company in Sonora. He was a very successful businessman with a background as logging and sawmill operator. He is also known for his 2 architectural residential house designs he built for his children. Blacks, as they were called then, also came to Sonora. Many, though, were not here for themselves, but to work for the mines of their owners. Many were slaves. One person in particularly was William Sugg. He was a slave that purchased his freedom for $1. Because the black population was scattered and relatively small in number compared to the total of gold rush pioneers, their history in the gold rush seems absent, but the Sugg family lived in Sonora for 125 years, during a time of great change and ignorance, when slavery was still present and their culture was looked down upon. There is a record of about 500 African Americans that mined in the Sonora area, but they didn't stay long. The Sugg family was the exception and was able to change the community's perception of blacks. Once the law changed in 1870s, the African Americans could get continuing education at the Sonora Grammar School. That made the Sugg family a part of the community and Sonora history. The Sugg family recognized and exercised an opportunity for self-improvement against extreme odds. For most of the community, the Sugg family were their only knowledge of African Americans, which they were described as courageous, tenacious, and sophisticated. Vernon Sugg McDonald was the last Sugg survivor who lived in town.
Vernon, he grew up here in town, and he knew everybody, and they accepted him into any function that there was going on. He was a reporter for the newspaper, and he just was the all-around boy.
Although the gold rush of Sonora was a place for discrimination and violence, it was also a place of intermixing. Sonora was a place where people were speaking 50 different languages, wearing different outfits, practicing different religions, and social customs of a different race and social class, but were all still mixing together civilly. They exchanged different ways of mining and learned social customs from one another. They exchanged, bought, and sold each other's goods. Exchange of disease at the time was scurvy. By the 1900s, they all had learned how to work together. What was once a lawless and wild place for digging for the American dream turned into a beloved place of people, cultures, and the intermixing ideas for the betterment of the community. As different mining techniques were discovered and implemented, little thought was put onto the effect it would have on the land. Hydraulic mining caused irreparable destruction. The intensive logging to help miners build canals and fuel boilers was damaging the forest. Dams were built up to supply water to the mines, causing rivers to change direction and causing sediment to clog the rivers and lakes, affecting farmlands in the valley. Mining declined. Sonora was not like other mining towns that turned into ghost towns. Other industries rose up. For instance, the lumber industry brought new life to the area, ranching, quartz mining, and the Sierra Railway. With these growing industries, Sonora had a new excitement. It could now export items from Sonora to the rest of the country and the world, including apples. In the 1900s, the lumber industry changed due to the environmental impact, and more rules were imposed, making it less profitable. The movies and tourism became a stronger industry in the economy. It is an unfortunate historical fact that a rare opportunity for the worldwide culture exchange was lost to greed and prejudice. But even after its rough beginnings, the history of a proud, diverse pioneer families that built Sonora can still be found. 165 years later, Sonora, digging for the American dream, turned into one of the most beautiful, historical, and beloved cities.